Hello, hello. So happy Sunday, everybody. Today, I just got back from church, and I was inspired by a lot of what was being talked about in church and things like that. At the end of church, we had a budget meeting, and it just reminded me of how our mission, the mission of the church, still has to go forward, and living on this earth and being a part of society means that we have to pay for things as a church, and we have to keep the doors open with just the basics like the lights and the water, and pay all of those bills and things like that. So even though as a church we live on faith, there are some things that are very, very tangible, that we have to go by, that we have to focus on and work through. So even in the most spiritual of realms, there are these things that bring us back down to earth and say, hey, you've got to pay the water, you have to pay the light, you have to pay the mortgage on the property, um, you have to pay the staff and all of these different things. But anyway, I have these box of, it's 50 spiritual insight cards. It's from the Good Word, and I need to read them a lot more. And part of my New Year's resolution is to focus on my spiritual growth by doing things more outside of church. But anyway, so I was inspired by what happened in church in the budget meeting, as we were talking and we were wrestling with what to do with our church budget, and how we would like our church budget to reflect the mission of the church and the things that we want to do, knowing that even the church is affected by inflation. If the members of the church are affected by inflation and things like that. Did I say infected? Affected. But anyway, so on this card that I'm reading, it says, "Light your light, so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." And that is from Matthew 5:10. Um, and I As I read this, I was kind of thinking about, okay, so what is the light um, that we have to shine so brightly that God is glorified in heaven? And for that to happen on a human level, it is that kind. It starts at like the basic, like just be kind to people, right? Because one day your kindness and all of those things that you're doing, somebody's gonna wonder how you manage to stay so positive, how you manage to be so kind through all of the things that you've been through. And you can say it's because I believe in God, and you can tell people about that God that you believe in, and they will be stunned and grateful that your belief in God has led you to practice kindness and different things like that. I call myself a practicing Christian, because there are a lot of people who say that they're Christian, all around the world. When the term Christianity has been used in so many different ways, and I'm not going to, judge people and things like that, but I'm going to say that I'm a practicing Christian, which means that flaws and all, I try my best to say, okay, what is it that what is it that God requires of me? What am I supposed to be doing with this following that I'm doing, with this Christian knowledge, with reading the Bible and doing all these things? What am I supposed to be doing on this earth that will, show that I'm a Christian? That, what does being a Christian mean? How does it change the way that I operate? How does it change the way that I talk to people? How does it change the way that I see other people in this world and their actions and beliefs? How does it change the way I respond on a day-to-day basis, and the way that I live my life on a day-to-day basis? So this being a practicing Christian is a very personal journey that then should reflect in the world. And so it's all about that. There's a Michael Jackson song. Okay, so I need to go on a tangent, right? Side tangent. When I was young, my uncles used to. So I was born in Liberia, and we lived in a multi-generational household, I guess is the best way to put it. But anyway, my uncles would laugh at me and tease me because I used to say that Michael Jackson was my boyfriend. And this was like tiny. And I loved all of Michael Jackson's song. But Man in the Mirror is a song I heard the other day. And I was like, you know what? I need to listen to some MJ. I haven't listened to some MJ in a while. And that song, Man in the Mirror, he says, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And for me, that is the journey that I want to be on when it comes to my Christian faith, and when it comes to the reasons why I am reading the Bible, I'm taking those things to heart, I'm going to church, and all of those things, because my hope is that as I do those things, as I read the Bible, as I take in the knowledge, as I listen to the theology in church, as I mingle with the folks that I'm mingling with, and I read things like this scripture, that it will reflect in my connection with the people around me, I guess is the best way to put it. And so I'm choosing to call myself a practicing Christian, because I am going to have flaws. I'm going to have times when when I'm not reading the scripture right, or I'm not practicing the scripture. I'm not taking the time to see all sides of the situation and different things like that. Those times are going to happen. But if I'm a practicing Christian, then that means there's room for me to grow, right? There's room for me to grow. Whether you are a Christian or not, there's room for all of us to grow, because we are on this earth. We are part of a bigger picture, in our, society. We are surrounded by what do the circles, what was it called? Was it eco something? Anyway, in there's a family therapy theory that starts with, there's our nuclear, we're influenced by our nuclear family, and we influence our nuclear family, and then we are then influenced by the schools that we go to, so our teachers and principals and all those people that are around us, and then we are then surrounded by another circle, which is the rest of society around us. So our neighbors, the stores that we go to, the leisurely activities that we participate in, and then there's the bigger global society, where there are people that are outside of our direct connection, but they still impact us. So the bigger global world, so overseas, and the way our governments interact with each other, and the way money flows and all that stuff impact us. So it starts from a small circle, but if you look at it, it grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you imagine yourself in that way, as a person that influences that small circle of your family, and then your school, and then your shopping centers, and leisurely places and things like that, and you go to the global world, if you think of yourself as a person that is influencing that much, that's a huge task. That's a huge task. I'm not sure if it's easy to understand, because on a day-to-day basis, I'm like, oh Lord, what am I doing? And so if you think of yourself as part of something bigger, right? Whether you're a Christian or not, you do have a nuclear family. You do have the schools and things that you went to. You do have your workplaces and the shopping centers and the leisurely places, and you are part of the global world, and things like that. But we are influenced, and we influence those places. And so in being a practicing Christian, I want to be a person that people can look at and say, yes, she is open to hearing all the sides. You know, I can say you did something wrong to me, and she will say, I'm sorry, let's work through it. I like to hear I want to hear her opinions. I want to be able to take a problem to her. I want to be able to say, here's the problem I'm having. How can you help me in one way or the other? I want to be the person that says, I want to be the person that people say she wouldn't directly just hurt you and do something wrong to you or bad to you, and things like that. So it's a journey. It's a journey, and we're all on our own different journey. So what I'd like for you to do is to write in the comments what kind of a journey you are on. I have met people that are on spiritual journeys that are quite different from mine, but are still very interesting. I love talking with people about their spiritual journeys and their beliefs and values, but even more importantly, what it does for their behavior. Like, how does their belief and their values change their behavior towards all the circles in our lives, and things like that. And so let me know what your spiritual beliefs are, and how they impact you on a daily basis. And I will talk to you all later. I hope you guys are having a wonderful and a happy Sunday. All right. Bye.